Welcome to the ProBrick exclusive YouTube channel with Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist. I just help people now. I don't do ministry now in the church and that. The call went off my life and I sensed it and I admitted it and I gave it away. The dynamics of a breakup. This is how I've experienced it. First thing to go, communication. Now people call this ghosting, stonewalling, negligence. The worst part about it is, it's one thing's for sure, it's passive aggressive punishment. And it's in the effort to communicate with you, values slip. Now this can be a personality trait. It could be part of a cycle in the way in which this person operates. Narcs have got a cycle, love bomb, stay in till bored, devalue, and then discard. That's a narc's pattern. But when you're in a relationship and the communication deteriorates, guaranteed that person's on the way out. Now whether you want to accept that or not, whether you want to acknowledge that or not, it's completely up to you. But something's wrong somewhere, because I've never been in a relationship where the communication's pumping and things have been bad. My first warning sign of trouble, whether the other person wants to admit it or not, is lack of communication or neglect of communication or deterioration of communication. Take it or leave it. And this can happen covertly, like you might not think anything's wrong. You might be just going with the flow. You might not even notice. Right? That's just negligence on yourself. That's just negligence towards yourself. Because if she's not communicating to you, who's she communicating to? The children? Somebody else? Who? If it's not you, who is it? Herself? It's got to be someone. The thing is, you can't measure somebody's communication skills by the start of the relationship. But if you've been in it for more than 4 or 5 months, you sure can. And if things start to deteriorate, it's not a matter of being comfortable. It's a matter of either absence of mind, laziness of mind. It's careless. I don't think my last partner even knew where I was at. And I was aware of this, I was sure of it. Because she had no clue of what unresolved was doing to me. I used to think this shit was playing Russian roulette. But it just showed carelessness. Serial carelessness on the part of the person that didn't want to take accountability for anything. Didn't want to talk, hardly ever fucking talked. If you talked, it was usually something to do with one of her problems. Hardly ever spoke about what I was doing or anything like that. Because we're too tied up in all her troubles and things, and that's okay, like, I'm into all that. But I started to realise this Sheila's got no idea where I'm at. None. Didn't have a clue. None. I used to say to her, can we resolve this thing? Oh no, they don't want to. I'd go, righto then. Detach. Just detach. You don't have to be connected to people that aren't communicating, even if it's your girlfriend. If she's not working with you, something's wrong, really wrong. And you need to be aware of it. If you can't resolve it, then you're going to have trouble. Big trouble. Something is wrong. And if she's not prepared to be transparent about it, then you become negligent as well. Negligent of your own welfare. Silence can have two effects. One, in the positive, done at the right time and without negligence. And two, in the negative, when it's untimely and unwelcome. G'day mate, what have you done to yourself? There's nothing worse than untimely silence. And if you're in a relationship, I'm telling you right now, that's negligence. Negligence on the part of your partner. If they're not playing a fair part in the relationship and taking responsibility and accountability as being in that relationship, then you've got to have a close look at who you're with and what's going on. If somebody's not quiet when you first meet them, and then all of a sudden they are, what does that mean? Really, in all honesty, what does that mean? You've got to stop and ask yourself. You've got to stop and ask that person, if you're not talking to me, who are you talking to? Now, you don't have to be suspicious. I don't give a shit. I got no insecurity in me. I don't give a fuck if people want to wreck their relationship with me or not. I'll just turf them, kick them. But if your partner's not ringing you to see how you're going, sending you a text here and there, and you become the same way yourself, because there's no point in you doing it if they're not doing it, then what does all that mean? To me, it wasn't a sign of being comfortable. It wasn't even a sign of being convenient. It was just a sign of complete and utter negligence, or what I could make of it. See, laziness is easy. Trying to develop a relationship's something else. And if things become lackadaisical and you're not paying attention to that, somebody's going to pay. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to pay a big price. Why invest time, physical time? You're putting your physical body into the relationship and you're not mentally putting your body into the relationship. What does that mean? What does that indicate? What does that say? So tell me in the comments what you think. If somebody's physically in, but not mentally exercising themselves in the relationship, what does that mean? Really? It has to have some kind of meaning somewhere. Is it laziness? To me, it's laziness. Is it negligent? A lot of people think they're so fucking good, even though they've got no self-esteem. On the one hand, their ego has got them thinking they're so good that they're just negligent. They're running on their physical appearance, their physical attributes, and does that mean they're mindless? No. If you've seen them working in a way in which they're not mindless, then why all of a sudden are they mindless? If they're not working in a way in which is mindless, and now they are, why are they mindless? Are they comfortable? Are they overassured? Are they 100% positive that everything's going to be alright? Even though they're not in touch with where you're at or self-aware? If you're not with that person, for a considerable amount of the time of the day, who are they communicating with? Can't just be themselves. People are social. Most people want to communicate. They want to work out what's going on. They want to understand what's happening inside of the other person. I think 9 times out of 10, what's going on is you got to ask yourself, are they on drugs? And what impact is that drug having on their mind and has had on their mind? How long have they been taking it for? What have they been doing? What's their relationship like with their children? Is it parentified? They could be having conversations with their children, adult children, let's just admit it, that they could be having with you or should be having with you. This is how skew-if things can get. Now, these aren't questions of insecurity. These are just questions of order. If somebody's just not talking to you and they're just plopping themselves there, what does that mean? Comfortable silence? Okay, it may not matter to you as long as that person's there. So, if communication's the number one pathway to intimacy, how do you function if the communication's not there? Well, that comes down to your ability to manage dysfunction, doesn't it? Which I'm pretty good at. I have no trouble with. But then, moving on from that, it comes down to tolerance. What are your tolerance levels like? How long can you tolerate this lack of emotional connection and lack of communication? How long can you tolerate it for? And for some people it's suspicious. For other people it's comfortable. But if you know these people talk at home, then why aren't they talking with you? There can only be one reason, right? And let's get down to it. They're not mentally in. Is communication important? Let me know in the comments. Is communication important? You'll see most problems in a relationship is confusion relative to communication or lack of communication. Maybe a lot of guys think their women nag, but are they listening? I guess sound and audio, listening to the audio that's coming out of the person's mouth, probably more important than the words. If you're not hearing what the other person's saying, then what's the point of that? But what do you do when you know the person likes to talk and they're not talking? Do you worry about it? Do you probe? Do you wonder if they're gonna talk to somebody else? What do you think? Is it something you should be concerned about? I just stopped and asked one of the construction workers just there behind me. You'll see that green shirt, it's a lady. I said, how important is communication to you? And she said, I think it's very important. Now, is it fair to be critical of people that aren't communicating with you? Is it fair to feel paranoid if somebody's not communicating with you? Well, I guess it comes down to what you're comfortable with, doesn't it? I guess people have got time. Well, the Bible says there's a time to speak, there's a time to be silent. It also says even a fool's counted wise if he holds his tongue. My point is, if you're in a relationship with somebody and they're not talking, then who are they talking to? I can remember in my second marriage, She was a bit of a quiet lady. She used to blame a stroke. She had a stroke when she was 29, and she'd come back from that. She was 50 at this stage, and sometimes she'd just be quiet, and we would say, but then she'd speak. And then at the end of the marriage, the son moved in. Well, I could understand that there'd be the initial excitedness of the son moving in and that. The celebration, as it were, period. But I would have thought that wore off. Well, I come home from work one day, I don't know how they didn't hear me coming up the stairs, and they were talking about the marriage's finances, and I said to her, our finances have got nothing to do with your son. He couldn't even pay his rent, and here she is talking about my finances and hers with the son. Turned out later that she was stealing money out of the bank account. Don't underestimate these mothers with their sons. Don't. Blood's thicker than water. So who are these people talking to? They're talking to someone. If they're not talking to you, who are they talking to? Because by nature, women like to talk. And if the communication stops, no texts, no phone calls, hardly says anything, that person's physically in, but mentally out. And you need to damn well be aware of it and act accordingly. Detach. Because trouble's coming. Now I noticed in the closer some women get, the more they show of themselves. Like with one of the relationships, the closer she got, the more comfortable she got at my place, the more her habits come out. She was turning up stoned, she was turning up smoking more, and I couldn't work out what the problem was. People are scared to get close. They get scared, they're fearful. People fear failure, but they self-prophesy. Right? And I could see that. This is self-prophecy. She didn't think it was going to work. She was too scared. And the prophecy was fulfilled. Well, I'm just going into the gym now. I'll leave it at that. Reverend Dr. Jason W. Morrison, theologist on the ProBrick exclusive YouTube channel. What's your opinion on communication? How important is it to you? To me, it's everything. Bye for now.